We're going to go through three of my favorite exercises that helps build balance and strength, especially if you're over 50 years old. If you're over 50 years old, it's super important to build balance and strength because we start to lose that as we get older. And you want to start with a simple program that you can do, that you can adapt and adjust for your body and how you're feeling today. And the exercises that we're going to go through are really adjustable. You can make them easier, you can make them harder, but to remember that you need to start off slowly. If we haven't met yet, my name is Wini Linguvic, and I'm the creator of the Elevate practice, where we elevate the way you exercise, and we're going to get started. The only thing you need for these three exercises is a chair. And you'll notice that I'm wearing wrist weights, and I wear wrist weights a lot in my instructional videos. And we have an entire video, and you can check that below, about why and how to use wrist weights. But the main thing I want you to remember is that the wrist weights add a load. And if you add a load to an exercise, it increases the intensity. But here's the thing. You don't want to add a load to an exercise until you're proficient in the exercise. And we're going to go through these exercises so you learn how to do them well. And then we'll talk about you adding a load. So let's get started. We're going to start with a chair. And you want the chair to have you want the chair to be stable. In other words, you can hold on to it and it won't rock over. You can also use a countertop, a table, or the back of a couch. But the main thing is you want something stable that you can put your hands on without leaning over. So stand tall, have your hands on the chair, lift the chest, and what we're going to do is we're going to go up and down 4 times. And these are called heel lifts. What we're trying to do, might not happen today, but we're working on it, is to go up and down without too much rocking forward. So see if you can do that. How does that feel? Are you okay? Now, if you're okay, we can start to add a balance challenge to this. So once you're able to have both hands down and go up and down, the next thing we're going to do is hold on with simply one hand. So one hand is on, the other hand is on your back. Find the curves of your back. In other words, stand tall. I'm going to go up and down 4 times. Now what we've done is we've decreased the stability of the exercise. And it's all right if it's a little bit more challenging because we've decreased the stability of the exercise. And then stop. How did that feel? Now, here's the interesting part. We're going to switch the hand that's on top of the chair and the hand that's on your back. And it's not going to feel the same because we tend to be dominant or more balanced on one side than the other, which is why we need to work both sides. So the opposite hand is on the chair, the opposite hand is on your back, and then we're going up and down 4 times, trying not to rock back and forth too much. When in doubt, always go slower. When in doubt, take a break as needed. That was 4. So those are your heel lifts to practice on your own. You start with both hands down, then you test yourself with one hand holding the chair, and then, we're going to try and do it without the chair. But remember, we do not progress in an exercise until we're proficient in the basics of the exercise. So the next step would be hands are on your hips, standing tall, and you work on going up and down. Now expect this to be harder. It's not going to be the same experience as when your hands are on the chair because we're giving our body more of a challenge. And when you give your body a challenge, slowly and progressively, of course, your body adapts by getting stronger. The key is to do it slow enough so your body has a chance to adapt and get stronger safely and effectively. The next exercise we're going to do, and I love this one for so many reasons, is called Stomp squats. And to do that, you need a sturdy chair that you can sit in comfortably. Now, before we move forward, we're going to make sure our form is correct and we're ready to do this. We want to have a nice length in the spine. So in other words, if we feel like this, like we're rounded, we want to put something underneath our hips, maybe sit a little higher so we can perch forward, hinge from the back. And then once you're able to do that, you have your hands on your thighs, and then we're going to take a moment and lift ourselves up. So in other words, we want a long back. We want to feel like we can sit up tall. Once you're able to do that, we're going to do the stomp squats. So what this is, and this is so good for bone density as well as balance, is that we're going to stomp our feet down and bring ourselves up. And then we're going to place ourselves back on the chair. We're going to stomp our feet down and bring ourselves up. Now, if you're able to do this 3 times, see if you can stomp a little bit harder. So that would look like this. Yep, you're making a sound. But before you progress into that, you want to make sure you're proficient at doing the basic ones, which would be a little stomp. Now, you can imagine what comes next with this exercise. After we're proficient at it, we want to stomp harder. And then once we're able to stomp harder, the next step would be to add a weight. We could do that by adding wrist weights or holding a weight at our chest to increase the load. But like I say, in all of these classes, in all of these videos, you want to make sure you're proficient in one level of exercise before you make it more challenging. So let's just review. You start off with your hands on your hips. You make sure you're able to hinge over. The next step is you do a little step, and then you come down. Once you're able to do about 15 to 20 of those, you increase the stomp. So you would stomp like this. Ooh, I love those. And then you try and do those 15 to 20 times. And then once you're capable of doing that, you can add a load, and a load would be a wrist weight, or you would pick up a light weight. But we'll work on that in a future video. I want to make sure you're able to do those. And then the last one that I do, which is super, super fabulous for balance, is what we call a T-stand. And there's all different kinds of T-stands, but this is the one we're going to start with. Your hands are going to be on your hips. You're going to stand a bit away from your chair, and you're going to first make sure you're ready for this by hinging at your hips. And we cover this hip hinging, right, in another video, which I will link below. But what I want you to think about is that you're able to keep your spine long. In other words, we want to try not to do this. We want to hinge from the hips, and that's an important basic prerequisite for what's coming up. So make sure you're able to do that. So once you're able to hinge from the hips, the best part is coming, and that's a balance exercise. What that is you want to be able to hinge from your hips like we did before, but now one leg is going to come up and you're going to lean over a little bit. Now, if you need to hold onto the chair or counter, that's absolutely fine. Let's try the other side. Take your time. Hands are on your hips. We're going to pivot from the hips and lean towards that chair. And it doesn't need to be a lot. You want to kind of get your bearings. And a lot of us have that basic strength to be able to do that, but we need to apply that strength. So even if you're like, oh, I can do that easily, are you able to stay in control as you do that? And what's so fabulous about doing an exercise step by step is that slowly over time, coming back to this class, coming back to these exercises, you will build up more proficiency. And the proficiency might look like this, that you're able to do these T-stands alternating and maybe doing 10 and then working way up to 20. Then, how could we make this harder? We could have you bend over a little bit more. And I love having the chair here because I'm bending over and I'm touching the chair. And then I'm coming up. So there's a balance challenge going on and, of course, a strengthening challenge going on. So it's like more bang for your buck. And you're coming over and you're touching the chair. There's so much going on here, and if you're not sure if it's too difficult for you, what you do is you flip the chair around and you just work on having your hand come down to a higher level. What we're trying to do is build up balance, is build up body confidence, is build up body awareness so we can work on building balance and strength in these useful and usable exercises. Give these a try. Let me know which one was the hardest one for you. The heel raises, the stomp squats, or the balance exercise, the T-stand. And remember, exercise works when you know how to work it.